All right, this isn't a pickleball video, so if you're looking for that, you're in the wrong place today. Mixing up the programming a little bit. Every Sunday, I'm gonna do this is sit down and real talk video, real life talk, and it's a good way to take one day out of the week and just sit down and talk, and not have a crazy production going. And why not start it off with one of the most taboo subjects ever? One of the most shameful, difficult subjects to talk about, which is pornography and pornography addiction. And I'm going to share my story a little bit. You've already seen the title by now, and I want to talk about my journey with pornography and how I found freedom from it. And let's get into it. So at the age of 9 years old, that was the first time I was exposed to pornography. I got a Kindle Fire tablet, which at the time was like groundbreaking technology for, to have a touchscreen device that you could play games on and read books on. So I loved it. Spent a ton of time on it, and then somehow or another, don't even know how, came across pornography, like a porn site with videos on it. Probably clicked on an ad or something like that popped up. And anyway, from there, I had no idea what I was looking at. That was my first exposure to sex in general, and especially seeing it visually. So really had no idea what it was, and but it stimulated something in my brain. So sure enough, I figured out how to get access to it again, because I had internet access on the tablet, and that's where the addiction started from there. Not even sure that I was going through puberty at the time. I probably already had crushes and stuff like that, but blam, was like already exposed to sexual imagery and stuff like that. So anyways, that started this constant battle, constant addiction to pornography. And I was very techie, still techie, but back then loved gaming, loved technology and computers. I spent a lot of time on devices, and it was a real struggle because I kind of always had access to it. Grew up in a Christian, conservative, traditional household that certainly would not have approved of that stuff, but it wasn't apparent that I was using it. I was obviously hiding it and trying to cover my tracks, using incognito mode and deleting history, things like that. And anyways, the lifeguard coming by on the four-wheeler. But as I got older, kept using it, the whole time I knew it was wrong. I knew it was wrong from a spiritual standpoint for me to be using it. At the time, I didn't know how bad it would be for me, and we'll get to that later. We'll get to the negative consequences and effects of it. At the time, I didn't know any of that, but I knew it was wrong spiritually. I knew it was damaging me, and I knew it was something shameful, and that's why I was hiding it, of course, not telling anybody about it. And I went through stages of coming off of it for a while, and staying off of it, swearing I would never do it again, and then that temptation would come back. I couldn't resist it. I would fall back into it, and this persisted for a long time throughout my teenage years. And there were phases where I even, I was delusional to the point I convinced myself that, well, I won't look at pornography. I'll just look at, girls that are not clothed, but not naked, just like, very revealing clothing and stuff like that. And that was still very lustful. I was using it like pornography. It was exactly the same, but I convinced myself that it was okay because they weren't actually completely naked, or there wasn't a sexual scene going on. So anyways, I was always knowing it was wrong, always praying to God that He would help me overcome it, that He would help me resist the temptation, and I kept falling back into it. And there was, frustration, like, God, if you don't want me to do this, why would you not make me able to resist it? Why would you keep letting me, fall into this sin? And so I tried all different sorts of methods. I tried putting blockers on, everything that I could do to try to protect myself from it didn't work. They were all things that were outside of me and my heart. I tried mental tricks. Like I said, I tried the blockers, but the thing with the blockers is if you really want to look at porn, you can always find a way around the blockers. You can always find a way to lust. And so I did that. And so that addiction went from 9 years old until the age of 21. So about 12 years that I struggled with that. And really my developmental years, like becoming a teenager, becoming a man, was when I was deepest in the struggle with that. And that really caused some negative consequences, which I didn't find out till later. But I want to share first how I found freedom from that, because actually finding the freedom came before I saw the consequences of it, which is really fascinating. So anyway, still fighting this spiritual battle. I was 21, praying that God would take me out of it, would rescue me from it, so that I just wouldn't even want to do it anymore, so that I would just hate it. So age of 21, I found this app called Brain Buddy, downloaded it, started tracking my sobriety, and at that time, God did something in my heart and mind to just completely remove the desire to watch pornography from me. He just completely took it away. That's why I would refer to it as freed or deliverance. It was like something from God that changed the inside of me to where I didn't have to put these limits and protections and website blockers on anymore, because I hated pornography. I hated the thing itself. I don't want to do it ever again. And I'm really careful in saying this, and I give God the thanks and the glory every day, because I know it's not guaranteed that I won't fall back into it, right? It's a gift that He's given me, and it's from Him, and I'm not doing it in my own strength, right? And I want to give Him the glory for that, and be very careful not to be prideful, because I know it's not guaranteed that I won't go back and fall into that sin again, right? But it was just amazing. Like, there would still be times where I'd be slightly tempted, like seeing an advertisement. Maybe somebody's advertising their OnlyFans. We've all seen that in this day and age. And it was like disgusting to me. Like, I would look at it, and there's like a little bit of temptation there, but I was looking at this thing that I just saw it in a completely different light, where it's like, this is terrible for me. It bound me for so long. I was a slave to sin. Like, I don't ever want to do this again. And I'm so grateful to God that He did that for me. And that's the reason why I call it like a deliverance, because it just completely changed my heart and mind to where I wasn't feeling like I was fighting a battle anymore. It was just like God fighting the battle for me. It was incredible. Like, I still have, I think everyone has a sugar addiction in America, but I still have a sugar addiction. And I say that because every night around bedtime, I start to get this craving to have a soft drink or ice cream or something like that. And that's a battle I fight every day. And that's how pornography used to be. It used to have me like that in bondage, to where it was a constant fighting the temptation every day. And I would have to struggle, and that completely changed back when I was 21, when God did that for me. And here's the thing that I don't understand to this day, and I won't claim to understand. I don't know why God waited so long to heal me in that area and to help me with that struggle. I don't know why it took so long. because from my human perspective, I would think, Lord, like, this is a sin. You don't want me to do this. Why can't you just take it away the second I ask for it? I don't know why it took so long, and I won't pretend to know why. All I know is that I'm grateful now. I know that God has a plan for all of it. And I have a couple of theories, right? I think maybe one reason is God maybe wanted me to see how destructive it was in my life, and how it would affect me mentally, and also that I would go through this so that I could be here today telling you my testimony about how I went through it, about how God freed me from it, and about how you can be freed too, right? And we don't have to be shameful about it anymore. Maybe He allowed me to go through all these things for so long so that I have the experience, I have the testimony, and I don't have to be shameful about it anymore. And hitting on that shame aspect really quick to those people out there who are also struggling with a pornography addiction or have struggled in the past. A couple things for you. I know you feel a lot of shame and a lot of guilt. They're natural, okay? One, you're doing something shameful. Two, you're doing something that you should incur guilt for. Okay, I'm sorry, but you are. Pornography is not only physically bad for you, but it's one of the most destructive things you can do to your spirit, because you are spiritually committing adultery with someone that you are not married to, that you don't even know. You are making a spiritual bond with them, and I'm not one of those person who believes in well, actually, I don't know. I don't really think you're making like a one flesh connection with someone when you watch pornography. I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but it is harmful to your spirit. It's displeasing to God, and even if you're an atheist and you're watching this video, just know it will destroy you, it will harm you, it will be bad for your marriage, your relationships, for your life in general, and that is because of the spiritual consequences and the way God has designed you, okay? So, shame and guilt, you will naturally feel those things. You don't have to feel the shame, okay? The guilt is deserved, but God can take both the shame and the guilt from you, and I'm going to tell you how. The shame is you need to confess to someone, and I think you need to confess your pornography addiction to the most difficult person in your life that you could confess it to. What do I mean by that? When I was struggling with pornography the worst, there were people who knew about it, and I would have conversations about it with friends, guy friends, because most guys watch pornography, statistically speaking, and the number's probably a lot higher than we want to admit. So I would talk with a lot of friends about it so they would know. But the people who didn't know were my parents, and those would be the hardest for me to share with, because for 12 years I hid this from them. As far as I know, they didn't find out. I was never confronted about it. And it was very shameful. It was not something I ever wanted to talk about with them. About 4 or 5 months into my deliverance, we'll say, sobriety, I felt convicted that I needed to tell my dad about my addiction in the past and what I went through. And that was the hardest confession that I had to make, was when I shared that with my dad. But it was also the biggest blessing to me, because the one person that I felt the most ashamed to share it with, when I did that, all the shame was lifted off of me. Because if I can share that with my dad, right, then I can share it with anyone. Then it's not a secret anymore, right? And that was a very liberating thing. And I'm very, very grateful that I did that. And I think everyone needs to do that. It's going to be really difficult, but I think it's a huge blessing. And the Bible tells us that we need to confess our sins first to God, right? Then also to fellow believers, and share with the closest person to you, share with your family members, share with your closest friends. They love you, they want to help you get through it, and it's going to take that shame away from you. So first confess it to God, then to your closest friends and family. And then taking the guilt away, first off, knowing that Jesus died for your sins, for all of them. He knows all of them. So confess that sin to him, trust in his sacrifice, and keep praying, keep fighting the battle, and asking that God will take that addiction away from you, because I can attest to the fact that he will. I don't know what the timeline's going to look like. I don't know what the battle's going to look like, but I do know you're going to be so blessed by it when it happens. And just lean on him, trust in him that he will do it. Every time you stumble, give it to God. He's big enough to handle it, okay? I kind of already got through most things, but lastly, I'll share the negative effects of pornography that I only saw after quitting pornography, and that I'm still learning about and seeing in real life. And it's, first off, it certainly changes your perspective of women. You'll read online, you'll hear about it. Oh, it makes you treat women like sex objects. It makes you view them as sex objects. Unfortunately, it kind of does. I'm not saying that you can't have great relationships with like females in your life. Let's say females that are somebody you might even be interested in romantically, but it's going to wire your brain to see them as an object that can give you pleasure, right? And you're going to go out seeking, how much pleasure can I take from someone else, right? How much pleasure can I take from a woman, right? Or if you're a woman watching this, from a guy. And the reason is that pornography trains you to think that way. It's all about stimulating yourself. It's all about finding the video that works the best for you, okay? There's no commitment to the other person whatsoever. It's all about pleasing yourself. And it's going to make you very selfish in the way that you look at relationships and sexual relationships. And another thing, it's going to cause your brain to constantly seek novelty. So you're watching pornography. If you're not satisfied with what you're looking at, you can just go find a different video, and you repeat that cycle over and over again. Some people even get into really strange, outlandish genres of pornography because what they were once watching was not stimulating them enough anymore. So they went on to find something that stimulated them more. So how does that apply to real life people? Well, maybe a regular girl, a regular female is never gonna look good enough for you. Porn's heavily edited. The actresses all ton of makeup, everything's shot to look a certain way, and that's going to create a lot of unrealistic standards that you are then going to internalize and apply to the people that you see in real life that are real people and don't look like that. Also, it's going to give you unrealistic expectations for how sex looks. It's not the way it is in pornography. It's way different. It's all done for a show in pornography, and when in reality, purposes of sex are procreation, bonding with your partner, right? Giving pleasure to them giving pleasure to you, and giving you a little glimpse of what heaven looks like, what love looks like. So bottom line, it's very destructive. I could go more into detail on the negative benefits, but I think I've done enough. I hope this video blessed you. The whole purpose of me sharing was that maybe I can take some of the shame off of you, to talk about what I went through. I hope this video can help you know that you're not alone. There are ants crawling up my feet right now. It's a little concerning. They look like fire ants. But to know that you're not alone. God can get you through this. He can take this weight off of you. God is there from you. He will take it from you if you call on him and trust in him to do that. And I just hope this video blesses you guys and edifies you. And you are absolutely welcome to reach out to me if you'd like to talk further, if you need help walking through this battle, through this journey. I'm absolutely there for you. So yeah, thanks for coming to this little Sunday chat. Next week, I've got a really good story about an encounter with a stranger. So I hope you tune into that one, because I think it's really awesome. You guys have a great week.